What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. We do upload daily PvP content and it helps the channel grow. Today we're going to be testing a double water strategy in the Great League. This team is going to consist of Swampert, Azumarill, and Charizard. Swampert will be the lead Pokemon. Lad Cobra 11 is the first trainer that we are going to battle here. So let's get into it. Swampert versus the Stunfisk, and Swampert is a very favorable match against Stunfisk here. Is going to be resisting the electric types. It does look like the Stunfisk is running Mud Shot though. So they're going to bring in the Charm. We're instantly going to switch into the Charizard here. And this Charm farmed up a lot of energy. This is possibly going to be a Solar Beam here. It is a Solar Beam, but as you can see, Charizard tanks that really well. And our opponent's going to get off a Weather Ball here for sure. This is going to do pretty decent amount of damage actually. It looks like Weather Ball is probably more energy efficient than Solar Beam was. So probably would have been a better idea for our opponent to have gone the Weather Balls there instead of the Solar Beam, and would have applied a lot more shield pressure on us. But we have a lot of energy farmed up here as a result. We're going to go for the Blast Burn. First one gets shielded, second one does go through. Going to let this Stunfisk farm us down, but because he's running Mud Shot, he can't. So he has to commit to a charge move. So Thunder Shock is probably the move you want to run on Stunfisk. And we are going to bring in the Swampert here, try to get off this Hydro Cannon immediately, but our opponent made a nice switch into the Swampert, and my dog is barking like crazy. Unbelievable. So Skarmory is going to come in here with the Sky Attack. We are going to go for the Hydro Pump here. This will KO the Skarmory if it goes unshielded. Let's see if our opponent wants to commit to the shield. They do not. So they are down to their last Pokemon, which is the Stunfisk. And this game is pretty much a wrap. So we're just going to shield here. Not really necessary, but our opponent backs out. So we win that game, and W4 Murderface is up next. And he's going to lead with the Altaria. So this is a very unfavorable matchup for us here. We are going to have to switch out. And our only safe switch here is the Azumarill. So the Deoxys comes in here. Not a good matchup for us because of the Thunderbolt possibility. So we're going to shield this up. It is pretty critical that we win switch advantage here because we want to line up with that Altaria. However, we need to keep this Azumarill healthy as well to match that Altaria. And because our opponent's not committing any shields here, we're going to be in a pretty rough situation. So I'm going to commit the second shield here, hoping to have as much energy as I possibly can on this Azumarill. And these counters aren't doing anything. We get to the play rough. And our opponent chooses to shield there, so I switch out into the Swampert, try to get off this Hydro Cannon before he gets off a charge move. See if he wants to commit a second, which he does. And that's kind of questionable because both Rock Slide and Thunderbolt will be resisted by the Swampert. So I'm okay with that. I'm going to bring back in the Altaria, and we're going to go for the Sludge Wave, which is going to do a pretty decent chunk of damage to the Altaria. But unfortunately, we are going to be in farm down range now. So the Altaria will take us out. And I could bring in the Azumarill here. We are not running Ice Beam, so we're going to have to go for the Play Rough, which will still KO in this range. Sky Attack does come through. And a second one's going to come through. This will not KO. But we do get off the Play Rough. And this matchup is going to come down to what is in the back. Now, if it's a Registeel, we're in a really good position with the Charizard. If it is an Azumarill, like it is, we are pretty much done for. So this game is pretty much a wrap. Azumarill will KO here with the Hydro Pump most likely. Even if they don't have Hydro Pump, they're still going to win this matchup. And next matchup is against Bugs Rip. Going to lead the Swampert into the Toxicroak. Not the most favorable of matches here. And we're just going to go straight for Hydro Cannons in this particular matchup here. Toxicroak does let it go through, which is really good for us. And because he let it go through, we're going to shield here, take a decent amount of health into the next matchup, and have some energy stored here. Down to shield. Shadow Hypno comes in, which is going to do a lot of damage. We're going to go for the Hydro Cannon. Defense is going to be lower than the regular variant. And it looks like he's trying to commit to a farm down with the Confusions, which is not going to work because Swampert generates energy so quickly. So the Hydro Cannon does go through. And they did commit to the farm down, so they have a lot of energy now. And in this situation, it's very possible that the Hypno is running Thunder Punch. However, because Azumarill is such a tanky little beast, we are going to come in. It is a Shadow Ball, so we do shield that up and go for the Play Rough here. Would not be surprised to see a second shield come up. And it does, because of all the energy. So we bring in the Charizard to absorb this hit, actually. And it is another Shadow Ball. Charizard does survive that. He switches out into the Deoxys. And because shield's down, we're just going to instantly go for the Blast Burn. And a Rock Slide from the Deoxys, of course, will KO. But we did a lot of damage already to the Deoxys. Looks like it's trying to overfarm a little bit. Now that Hypno has no energy in the back, so we will be able to come in here with the Azumarill and farm down. If this is a Thunderbolt, it will do a decent amount of damage, but it is in farming range for us to get to a charge move, which we will be able to use on the Hypno once it comes in. And the Play Rough will be enough to KO the opponent here. So that is good game there. And Bag Raid. Violinio is up next. Leads with the Mew. Mew is always an interesting matchup because it could be running anything. In the lead spot, most likely it's probably going to have Grass Knot, so this Swampert is going to have to be careful here. Go for the Hydro Cannon, and it does shield, which is pretty interesting. This likely is going to be a... Wow, it's a Focus Blast actually. So because it's running Focus Blast, very unlikely that it has Grass Knot. So it's probably running Shock and Focus Blast, maybe Wild Charge Focus Blast. Switches into the Toxicroak. And we actually get to a second charge move before it could get to its own, which is going to really put a hurt on this Toxicroak. And I'm going to switch now into the Azumarill. And this is likely going to be a Sludge Bomb. It is, so good shield there. Brings in their own Azumarill. Because we have Play Rough, we're in a really good position here. If we did not have Play Rough, this could have been a game changer. And let's see if our opponent is also running Play Rough. We actually get to the second one. He switches into the Mew. So I think at this point what I'm going to do is switch into the Charizard. Well, then again, because we saw the Mew's running Focus Blast, it's not really necessary to switch out of this matchup, I suppose. But Wild Charge is a very good reason to have switched out. Bringing the Charizard, we're able to farm down there. The Azumarill comes back in. We are going to go for the Blast Burn, which is still going to do a decent chunk here, despite being resisted just because of the overpoweredness of the move. And this is going to have to be a Hydro Pump to KO in this range. It is. So all of their energy is gone. We could bring in the Swampert here. And I should have just went for the charge move. Not sure what I was doing. I'm trying to make this game more close than it has to be. Ice Beam comes through. But at least now we know for a fact that the energy is gone. And we did have a Play Rough on the Azumarill. So I guess I didn't bring in the Azumarill in case that opponent... Well, there's no chance that the Azumarill had energy because it just did a Hydro Pump. So there wasn't really any logic in that. But it's okay. We win anyways. Curly 25 is up next. And he's going to lead with the Azumarill. So despite this being a favorable matchup for the Azumarill, it isn't the end of the world for Swampert. As long as you can get the Sludge Wave off without them using a shield, you will be in a very good position. I let the Ice Beam come through in the hopes that they may think that this is going to be a Hydro Cannon. But in this case, I do actually go for the Hydro Cannon, and they shield it. So got fortune there. Go for the Sludge Wave now. Let's see if they're going to shield twice. They do not. A lot of times they won't shield the second one if it's back to back like that. And the Ice Beam is going to come through. I'm going to shield this because I have a charge move ready here. Go for the Hydro Cannon. And that is going to hit the Azumarill here. Deoxys defense is going to come in. Not the best situation for us. Charizard will be weak to the Rock Slide. Azumarill will be weak to the Thunderbolt, but because Azumarill is more tanky, I'm much more comfortable bringing that into this matchup. But again, not the best situation. Gonna let the first one go through in the hopes that maybe it's a Rock Slide or a Psycho Boost. It's not, but they switch into Registeel, which is amazing for us because this is gonna give us the advantage again. Had they stuck in with the Deoxys, might have been a little bit trickier, but as long as we could have got the Deoxys really low, this Charizard with Registeel in the back would have been game over. So I really like running Charizard just because of how it walls Registeel, and it's really safe to bring it at the end of games, especially if you're running into Registeel, because even if you have no shields and they still have shields remaining, you could technically win that match still. So we're going to go for the Blast Burn again here. And that is going to KO the Registeel. Deoxys is going to come back in. This game is still far from over. And I guess I should have went for the Dragon Claw because the Deoxys does generate energy quickly. But they went for the Psycho Boost, which is going to lower their attack. So this is going to definitely give us the advantage here. And Hydro Pump should be enough to win this match. Just hangs on by a thread. But because he debuffed his attack, this Thunderbolt would not KO if he went for it. He actually goes for Psycho Boost. So definitely going to win that one. And let's move on. Or that was 4 wins in 5 matches. So that was the first 5 in the first set. Second set here against Takashi ZY. And Swampert versus Registeel. So a very good lead for us. And this whole team pretty much has very favorable matchups against Registeel. So we're going to switch into the Azumarill here. To face the Altaria. He is locked into this matchup. Even though we don't have Ice Beam, Play Rough will do enough damage here. It won't KO, but it's still going to do a very healthy chunk to Altaria. And they do choose to shield that. Probably anticipating the Ice Beam. But either way, Play Rough is still a lot of damage. Sky Attack comes through there. And I guess the one disadvantage to Play Rough over Ice Beam is the energy costs a bit more and doesn't do as much damage to Altaria in particular, but that is offset by the Azumarill Mirror match. So depending on your team composition, you could prefer Play Rough over Ice Beam or vice versa. Looking to commit to the farm down here, which we do, so we have a lot of energy stored on this Azumarill. Let's see if the Registeel comes back in. It's actually an Azumarill. So I was anticipating the Registeel, so I clicked on the Hydro Pump. Is the Azumarill, so a little bit unfortunate there. Would have preferred to get off the Play Rough. And this is likely going to be an Ice Beam, I'd imagine. It is. And unfortunately, we were just in Ice Beam range, so we lose a lot of energy there. But we do have our Swampert with a lot of energy stored. Going to go for the Sludge Wave. And our opponent chooses not to shield, so very good for us. And I would expect 2 shields here. Well, actually, it's not necessary because there's a Charizard in the back, so we don't need to save it for the Charizard just in case. Go for the Hydro Cannon here. They choose not to shield, but the lock-ons are not going to do anything, so we get to a second Hydro Cannon. And at this point, the Charizard could easily farm down without having to commit any shields. And we might have been able to get to another Hydro Cannon, to be honest, if he chose to continue the farm down, but it's okay. And we're going to use the shield here. Flash Cannon still would not KO in this range, just to be safe. And before we could farm down, our opponent backs out. So we take that game. And Igor is up next. Azumarill lead. So as we've seen, even though this isn't the best matchup for Swampert, we can win it. Just really depends on landing that Sludge Wave or not. So I'm going to let the first charge move go through. Should be an Ice Beam here. And this time I'm going to go for the Sludge Wave instead of the Hydro Cannon. I always play this match differently, depending on what I think the opponent's going to do. In this case, we correctly guessed again. This time I went for the Sludge Wave. He did not shield. So very good position now. Hydro Cannon is in KO range now. But he switched into a Ferrothorn, which I did not see. But that's fine. We can bring in Charizard here. And unless this is a Thunder, it's not going to be very effective against the Charizard. It is a Flash Cannon, so that's resisted. It still does a decent chunk. And I would expect the Azumarill to come back in now. Just going to go for the Dragon Claw here. See if our opponent wants to use a shield. They do. So very good for us. Dragon Claw would not have KO'd, but a Blast Burn would have. So the shield does make a little bit of sense. Because he's shielded, could mean 2 things. Either he wants to preserve his energy, or he has a Registeel in the back. Registeel is probably unlikely, given he had the Ferrothorn, but we'll see. And he's shielded again, so I'm guessing he probably has a Grass type, maybe? It's actually quite interesting. if he has a grass type, we're not in a very good situation actually, because we're not running Ice Beam. So let's see what's in the back. Our opponent actually backs out, so it definitely was not a grass type. Probably was a Registeel. And we're going to winning that game. So Red Nitty is up next. I'm going to leave it to Skarmory. So this one is a matchup we like to see with the Swampert. And they're going to switch into the Shiftry. So this is the Caleb Peng team, of course. Or at least that's what it looks like. Skarmory, Shiftry, Switch, and Meganium in the back. We have a Charizard here. So we have to definitely commit both shields to this Charizard because the Charizard can run through the entire team, whereas Swampert and Azumarill are going to be weak to both Shiftry and Meganium, especially because we don't have Ice Beam either. So we definitely want to preserve this Charizard here. Opponent goes for the foul play. And we're going to commit to the farm down here. And our opponent actually backs out, which may have been a little premature. He still had a shield left. I guess he didn't expect us to have a Azumarill in the back as well, but we win that game. A6 is up next. Tropius, one of the worst leads we could see for this team, is running Air Slash on the Tropius instead of Razor Leaf, so our Swampert isn't going down as quickly as it could. But because it's running Air Slash, I'm actually going to try and get off this Sludge Wave. And if this goes through, it's going to be really good for us. It is shielded, so not great. And this is going to be another Leaf Blade here. And I'm going to commit the shield and go for another Sludge Wave. Just because if I could burn both shields, I could bring in the Charizard. I won't be switch locked in and he may switch out. He actually lets the Sludge Wave go through. So very interesting. So we are down both shields now. Our opponent still has one shield remaining. And him letting that go through is actually a bit worse for us because it gives our Charizard less to farm down. So not the best situation. What we were hoping for there was that he burned both shields and had a lot of energy for us to farm down on. Instead, he has the shield, brings in the Azumarill here. Gonna go for this Blast Burn. Switch into our own Azumarill on what we hope to be the Hydro Pump, but we mistimed it. And if this Azumarill is running Play Rough, this is going to be a really tough game. It is running Hydro Pump, so we still have an opportunity. Switches into the Medicham. This is not bad for us. Play Rough is going to be doing a lot of damage to Medicham. Chooses not to shield that. Really good. And let's see if we could pull off this win here. This is probably going to be a power-up punch. It is. Okay, so very good. And we actually look like we were going to... No, we go for the Play Rough. I would have probably... well, yeah, I would have committed to the farm down there, I think, actually is the correct move. So I'm trying to take the hit with the Charizard. We do not get it. Very unfortunate. And we go for the Dragon Claw. I went for the Dragon Claw because I was expecting a Charge Move to come in. If we had energy for the Blast Burn, that would have been preferable. We didn't. So the Azumarill comes in. So we're in a really tough situation now. And even though we have the Play Rough, that one shield in the back is going to hurt us. So our opponent did a really good job maintaining that shield. And unless this is an Ice Beam, we have pretty much lost this match. It is a Hydro Pump, so that's going to be GG there. And close game, but we end up losing. Marty Atisari is up next. And he's going to lead the Prinplup. Wow. Very spicy pick. Rarely ever see this. Should be Steel and Water typing here. So I'm just going to go for the Hydro Cannons. I have no idea what moves Prinplup has actually. I think it has Icy Wind, not sure what else it has. So I'm going to shield this. It's actually a Bubble Beam, wow. So that was really, really poor shield. This should also be a Bubble Beam, I'd assume. So I think it has Bubble Beam and Icy Wind. I know it has Icy Wind, but I know it has Icy Wind. Now I know it has Bubble Beam as well. And he actually burns both shields, which is pretty crazy considering it's a Hydro Cannon and it's been debuffed. So I'm not really sure what's going on here, but that is great for us. So we're just going to keep spamming these Hydro Cannons. And at this point, I think we should just let this go. It's actually a Bubble Beam, so we should... Oh no, wow, that takes us out. That's crazy. So bring in the Azumarill now. And at this point, I'm expecting everything to be a Bubble Beam. It's actually an Icy Wind. Okay. So that's also going to lower our attack. So this Prinplup is running debuff attacks only. So our attack is greatly falling, but I'm okay with this because we could just switch out of the match and reset the debuff. So Probopass comes in. Very interesting. And I'm just going to go for the Hydro Pump because it's weak to it anyways. Has been debuffed 2 times. And that's a lot of damage still. Going to try to come in and absorb what I hope is a Magnet Bomb. But I'm going to shield just in case. It is a Magnet Bomb. And this should also be a Magnet Bomb. Given the energy, it is. So we save that shield. Medicham comes in. And honestly, this Medicham doesn't really have any moves that could hit us with. Psychic, I guess, would be pretty bad to get hit by, but the Blast Burn goes through. No shields, of course. And I should definitely shield here. Oh, well, Power Up Punch, no need. But the Charizard would have a very favorable matchup against the Probopass in the back. But so would the Azumarill, so it doesn't really matter. Both of them are good. The Azumarill's stats have been reset. So let's go over Blast Burn and win it here. The Azumarill could have also finished off this game for us. So either way, we were good. We had the shield still. But a very decisive win there. And I believe that is the 3rd win out of 4 matches in this set. Or no, that was the 4th out of 5. So we go 4 out of 5 in both sets. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.